think you are not sharing the banner, Nina, right now.
Okay, let's try again. I am, but no.
Yeah, I think now it's working. Yeah, now it's working.
I think, Andres, you are using the follow me, probably the follow me feature.
No, I'm not.
I am.
Now it is.
We wait a minute or two more.
Whenever you want, Nina, we can start.
Okay, we can start. Yeah, I was just. Okay, good day, everyone. Firstly, we hope that you're all doing well these days. And thank you for joining us today on our Funding Continuity Day. And welcome to this event session, where you will find out more about the FundingBox Meetings, our new fully encrypted 100% open source video conferencing solution fully developed on principles of privacy. Today, here we're having main people behind this project that will introduce you with the FundingBox Meetings and its features and explain you why is it so unique and different from many other similar softwares now being available. So we have Jorge Fernandez. He's a FundingBox Chief Technology Officer, the expert behind the app, the FundingBox Meetings, who is currently working on developing privacy by design and decentralized technologies. He's an experienced CEO, founder with demonstrated experience in working for the internet industry in whole, and we have Andres Sanchez Sandasa, a director at FundingBox Communities, responsible for the growth of FundingBox Communities to more than 25,000 innovators. Andres has also funded 3 startups. He's a CEO and product manager that raised several rounds of funding. And he's also Ledger project coordinator and NGI for All project lead and Token program manager in Horizon 2020 projects. Once again, thank you for joining. Enjoy the session, and Jorge Andres, the floor is yours. And for any potential questions that you might have, please feel free to raise them in the pop-up chat, in the chat section. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Nina, for such a nice introduction.
Yeah, we don't deserve it.
Well, this is, as we were organizing this Funding Continuity Day, we recently released this new service or application that is FundingBox Meetings that we are using today for a big part of our conferences. We are streaming through YouTube, as you may be seeing, but behind we are using FundingBox Meetings. We thought that it was a good opportunity to kind of basically make it official, the release. And I invite to Jorge, who is the CTO and mostly the person who is the responsible of our technical team and of our products, to be here with me to talk briefly. I know that he's not that keen of these public events, but we are good friends from many years. We have worked in several startups even before. Well, we know each other for many, many years. We were together running some startups. He has developed many products. So he's a bit of a guy doing a bit of everything because he does design, UX, software development. Well, at the end, right now in FundingBox, we have we could say that we have 3 products, and he has been the lead and coordinator of the efforts to do them. One is, of course, FundingBox, as you may know it, the community that we have, where we have over 25,000 people, innovators, and we try to help them to find the funding opportunities, to access to knowledge, and to connect with people. As we usually say, we help people, innovators, to grow. The platform is the core of the heart of it. Then we have a system for open calls that we use for whenever we release open calls where people have to apply. There is also developing house. And the last thing we have on place is this FundingBox Meetings application or service that basically we work a lot in the next generation internet space, as we will tell you a bit more later on. And we are getting a bit more onto the principles that this program is promoting, that are privacy by design, more onto the open source, and so on. But still, I guess when we were talking about this, and the question that first came in many occasions, it was why now? There are many applications on the space. We have Zoom, we have all these big companies with their solutions. So maybe that's the first question for you, Jorge. Why now? And what does FundingBox Meeting bring that it makes it a bit different or unique?
Yeah, that's true. There are a lot of competitors right now there, so it's a good question. My specific perception is that most of them have really privacy issues. So we all remember the recent Zoom issue. That is just this confirmation. And for me, online video and audio conference or recording are a really sensitive matter. So meetings, to be honest, started just as an additional feature of FundingBox or FundingBox Spaces, which is our tool to create communities. And since Spaces is about real time and interactions, there was a clear need about having an audio and video communication tool embedded into it. So our first approach is to look at the market and check what type of solution could we integrate with our platform. But we realized that integrating a third-party solution had many privacy issues and implications. So at the end, we decided to go our own way, and we started working on our own solution. So we also thought it would be better to develop it as an embeddable, but separate as an independent product. So right now it's integrated with FundingBox Spaces, but it can be used as a separate tool, as any other meeting tool already in the market. But we really think that with some really added value, which is specifically more focused on privacy things. So that's the main starting point.
Yeah, I think when we just share the link to the website where you can access to the software, but I think, of course, there are two principles there, privacy and open software, that are maybe the ones that guide us when we were creating this. As Jorge said, on top, that it was really useful for our platform, where people can chat, but we thought that to have the possibility that people could talk and chat, in video conference was good. So we did that first step, and then the product did gain, as Jorge explained, its own autonomy. Yeah. But we have taken a bit farther, I will say, because now it's I think its main quality, apart of course keeping the privacy, is the easiness to use it, because you can create a link in a second, and it's this for you, and you can use it for any purpose. So I think that's very, very interesting and really, really easy to use, no?
Yeah, when we started defining the product, we basically follow with three design principles that are basically the privacy first thing. It should be also easy to use, and we think about use it as a building block. So at the end, it's embeddable in any kind of solution, and it's also open source, so you can get the code and put it wherever you want. But you can also use it. We may provide an API REST API, so you can use it to embed it and customize it even in your own solution. So I see this as part of a new breed of tools built to protect and respect the user privacy, and at the same time trying to give something to the community. So it's a different approach from commercial solutions. So we are not I'm not in the feeling of trying to compete with Zoom or GoToMeetings. We have a different approach, but more open. So that's a totally different thing.
Yeah, I think in general we have adopted and we have been a bit even seduced by something that the European Commission believes in, and that somehow they are trying to make the European Union like the place where privacy is respected, no, where citizens get back control over their data, no, and we are having those many cases with Cambridge Analytics, with Zoom recently, with so many platforms that at the end, Google, I mean, almost everyone is using our data for their own benefits. The European Commission is promoting that should change. And we are in a couple of NGI, well, more than 2 NGI projects, where that is the core, the privacy to bring citizen control back over the data. And we have been a bit, seduced by the idea, because this product is very aligned with those principles, no?
Yeah, I really think it is, and I am a believer about this privacy first thing. I really think it's time to change the rules in this specific topic. You know, the internet grows organically without a real planification. So at the end, the users are a bit exposed to the services they are using. So they lost control of the data. Right now, the organizations and corporations controls the user data. So we need to have a step back and try to regain some control for the users. So I am a believer that the user should control its own data, not the companies. So for me, this is just a first step, an example. And how we tackle privacy here is basically we don't need to know nothing about the user. So because I'm wondering why are always trying to profile the user and to know everything about them. To provide a service, you don't really need that information. So basically, in this FundingBox meeting, our approach is all the data we collect is the minimal that we need to provide the service. And at the same time, all the data is ephemeral, so it's deleted as soon as possible. We don't store any data for the long term. We don't use cookies. We don't have tracking technologies. We don't use affiliates or ads. So yeah, this is like we call it a data minimization principle, that basically we try to know the less possible about the user just to provide the service. And I hope that this will be more, present in other products. There are some initiatives out there trying to working on this, trying to collecting also lists of privacy first applications. And yeah, I'm a really believer about this movement, let's say.
Yeah. Well, I guess we are talking about a wave that is carried also by the open source ecosystem, no? And we have even recently Microsoft getting into that wave, no? So it looks that is something that is gaining volume, and that the corporates are taking, realizing that that's the way to go. But still, I guess what the question that come out in many occasions on those kind of projects is, how do they sustain themselves? I mean, because at the end they are, in most of the cases when we talk about open source, about creating software for the sake of the good of humanity, At the end, we have also always the question, okay, but how do we make it sustainable? And for example, in Ledger, the project we take with NGI about decentralized technologies, we always say we are not looking for unicorns anymore, but of course we need sustainability. So I think that's a challenge. I don't know how you see that.
I don't have an answer for that, but obviously I really think that some things needs to be regulated. I think that the GDPR thing was a good first step on trying to regulate the space and how the companies use the data, what are the rights of the user, all this stuff. So at the end, I see this type of project as a leading example of how the regulation should move, at the end, to try to be to try to force companies or commercial products to be like this alternative way of doing the things. So and also we need to check we just need to check the open source community. Meetings is already based on Jitsi, which is a very well known and a very relevant project in the space, in the meetings space, and the web RTC and all this stuff. Basically, the 99% of the world of the technology runs by open source. So at the end, it's Unix or is any language or whatever. But at the end, most of them is open source. So I think that the open source deserves more, praise and also protection from the public administration. So at the end, this is basically open source is just a way to share knowledge, and this moves the innovation to the future.
Totally. Well, maybe indeed this is we're talking about open source, but another topic that we are quite involved and is quite interesting, and we think that it may be the new coming paradigm is decentralization.
The privacy thing also.
Yeah. I think it's probably really connected to what we are talking to privacy and to open source.
Yeah.
And we are working, just for the sake of the audience to know, we are working in another project that is called Token. That is a research and development project where we are trying to develop certain kind or create an ecosystem of experimentation to develop decentralized and distributed technologies that can be applied to public administrations. But how do you see, because I know that you have done quite a lot of research, the decentralization movement, how it's going to evolve? How do you see it?
Yeah, from time to time, there are new trends that, pop up in the technology space. We all know big data, AI, blockchain thing. Now it's time of decentralization. But in this specific time, because I'm usually not a believer of trends, but in this specific time, I really have a lot of hopes because I think that we need it. As I said, the internet grew organically without a real planification, and this put the users in a very bad position. So we need to gain some control for the users. So basically, we can. I could split the internet, the computing history in 4 different times. The first one is basically the mainframe era. All these IBM big machines that needed a full office to work. After that, we had the desktop era, the personal computer, which was a real revolution. And I really like it because at that time, the users have all the control about the data. I mean, you have some software applications in your computer, but the user were storing the data in their own drives or whatever. But after that, we have the cloud computing and storage, and that was a revolution in terms that everything pop-ups and the online services improve a lot. But at the same time, we lost all control about our data. So right now, all our emails are on a server from Gmail. Our photos, personal photos, family photos, videos, all our content is out of our control. So I think that the next revolution is this decentralization that basically tries to achieve the opposite, to put the user in control of the data. And this is through many different technologies like DLTs, self-sovereign identities, maybe blockchain. There are many technologies involved into this, let's say, revolution. But I really think that this is something that needs to happen, and it will take time. and some regulations, but I think that we really need it for the good, for the common good.
I think it's clear that we need it, but there will be resistance.
Obviously.
Maybe the question that no one has an answer, but how much is going to take?
No, I think it's going to take.
It's going to happen. I mean,
it's going to take a lot of time, and I think that it needs really support from public bodies. So at the end, I think that the first step is the public administration creating decentralized identities or self-sovereign identities. So basically, what you already have in your country, your national ID or whatever, just to try to have a digital version of that, but with a more self-sovereign thing. So at the end, the users control the data. I think this is going to happen, but public administrations are not very fast implementing technologies. So probably this will need 10 years, 20 years, probably.
Yeah.
But at the end, important is we need to work on this type of approaches for the common good. So at the end.
Okay. So maybe a last question, and then we can see if there are. I think there are a couple of questions in the chat.
Okay.
Another a bit, classic funny question. What kind of? Have you seen any product lastly that you say this is great, or something that you would recommend to the people to check, or that you like a lot, or anything like that?
Yeah. I'm not a product hunter, so I'm not all the day looking for new products.
Well, you are, Jorge.
Yeah.
You are navigating at night, checking everything.
Yeah, but there are a few technologies I'm really interested in. Most of them related distributed storage or decentralized storage. One of them that I really like is IPFS, which stands for Interplanetary File System. It's a very
nice name.
Nice name. Yeah. I think this is gonna be really something. It's been and it's gonna be really a really thing. But in any case, for me and for the people that can be viewing this, I think that my message is, okay, guys, you should be aware about how the companies use your data, so keep your precautions. So there are many tools out there that are following this privacy first principle. And there is a website called privacytools.io. So, and there you can find a list of tools that follows this privacy first principle, and there are many options for calendars or email or even browsers or whatever. In the case of the browser, which is our window to the world, to the internet, the most relevant ones in the privacy space is probably Brave, which is it's based on Chromium, but with some additional privacy features, and it also have a Tor option, so it's a good choice. And I think also Firefox is doing a good job regarding privacy. So at least try to protect yourself, because if you wait for the companies to do that, probably you have to wait a lot of time. So my recommendation is to try to go to these different solutions. And there is this website keeps a comprehensive list of tools.
Okay, great. So just to close, I think there are some questions. We have shared a couple of links. Among them, the first one, the one to the page of Meeting FundingBox. As we say, it's as simple as once you get to that page, there is a box. You put your name or whatever you want to. You click go, and you will create a link that you can use at any time with whoever you want to, respecting privacy and just providing that link. Anyone can connect, no need to register, no need to provide any kind of data. We take care of erasing the data as soon as possible. So please check it out. Maybe Nina, I don't know if there are questions for the audience. For Jorge.
Yeah. There's one question. I believe it's how long did it take you to write the code to build the platform?
Yeah, to be honest, very little, since this is based on Jitsi, as I said before, which is a very well-known project in the space, well established. They have a very comprehensive set of repositories. Basically, Jitsi is not just a tool; it's a test. It's a set of tools. It includes Jitsi Meet, Jivri, Video Bridge, Gcofo, Gigasi. There are different components that at the end you put all together. You put all together to create this kind of services. It's open source, so you can get it and put it on your own server as is, or you can customize it. That basically is what we did. We made a lot of improvements or adaptations to our specific case. We also tried to remove the privacy concern things. So it didn't take much, probably a couple of months. And what it takes more is try to fine tune the servers and all the things to allow big audiences, big meetings with many participants and all the stuff. So probably that's the big amount of time. And obviously, we also adapted the code for our mobile apps and all the stuff. And but it's not a big effort. And as I said, right now you can get the GC code and deploy it in your own server, or you can also choose our code or use our API and use it for free. So yeah, that's the solution. I see a question on the chat regarding if we get back the contributions to the community.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say that most of the contributions are removing things and branding things. So that cannot be get back to the community because they don't want it. But in the cases of the things that we did improve, we did. So yeah, that's the thing. I don't know if more questions.
Any more questions?
I think I see that they are asking if the source code is open.
Source code, yeah, is that?
Yeah, it is. I don't remember right now the name of the repository, but it's in. I will try to share it. I don't know if I can share it later in the streaming. I mean, this is gonna be recorded, right?
Yes.
So you can probably comment after that. Okay, I will share the repository in the comment section. I will check it and I will send it. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, since basically what we made is we started with a fork of Jitsi. We work on our improvements in a different branch, and but our own repository, and it's open as the Jitsi one. So.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Any more questions? Guess not.
So
okay. Thank you all. Thank you, Jorge, and thank you, Andres, and thank you all of you guys attending. We invite you to join the rest of the webinars we have today. The next one is in 6 minutes about tips on how to close the investment deal after the COVID thing. I'm posting the link right here where you can join, and that's it from our side. Bear with us and hope to see you.
Okay. So.
Thank you very much. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
For attending. Ciao. Nina, you there?